Okay, I'm in Haungyao, Huangyao, and this is Mr. Gu's, and here he has it in English so you can tell, and everything else, rice, coffee. Okay, surf the internet. And here's Mr. Yu, who is a teacher. Yes, and so thank you very much, Shishini. So now I'm just going to start wandering around trying to figure out where I'm at. Apparently, where I am at, this is the ticket, which I have to protect with my life. And I'm guessing the green represents water, because there's a river that supposedly goes through this area. And there's also the old town, which I'm in, and the new town. I've come here for the old town, of course. And where I'm at is right here, right above my thumb. You can see a small dot that she drew. And that's where I'm at. Not that I'll ever find it on my own again. Another sign. Come here because it's one of the few small towns probably in China that are left somewhat unmolested. Just looking at the three holes, top and bottom, what once were some method of blocking that door. I suspect that under here is a drainage system somehow. As you can see here, the shops go to the right, to the left, and I have yet to figure out where I'm at, but the sun is in that direction, so in theory that should be south, and if I go this way I should be going west, which should be to the left. And were I to do the trip again, I would spend much more time in these small towns and ferret them out more carefully. If I ever came again, that's what I would do. Here, an interesting old building. Look at this. And look at the wood carving up there. And it's still got paint on it. How pretty that is. This is what you come here for. To get rid of the cacophony of places like Guilin, which is so basically tourist sterile. There are the familiar entry stones. I don't know the distinction between stones like this and the ones that would have the lion on them, although it's possible the lion used to be positioned on those smaller stones. I get the sense that people are proud to have tourists here and they don't make a big deal of harassing you so far. And here are the deadly spices that you can add to your foods, and they can also sell them in these bottles. And these may be the little raisin things that Mr. Yu added. They are, yes. I may have to buy some of those. What captivates me in these towns is the old architecture. And there you can see the stone with a hole in it and the door pivoting in it just the way they were originally designed to work. And here a man who looks like he's a clocksmith. An old man. Let's take a closer look. Not many of those men left, probably, particularly in this part of the country. Picture of Mao. Don't know the significance of these, but I'm going to pursue this to the village playground because it looks like it goes to the perimeter of town, and I'm trying yet to orientate myself. Who knows how ancient these streets are. The produce that you see here is what they raise nearby, so they take considerable pride in it, and it just becomes another source of income for the people whose towns get assaulted by people like me. There's interesting cabinetry from the past, probably. A relatively new and very large building, perhaps a civic building, maybe not. Something beyond, I don't know what that is. And of course, the patio for working the crops. I know if this building is very old, nor do I know if those drawings are very old. Probably not, they look too fresh. Don't know if anybody speaks English in this town. If they do, it's very, very little. More likely to get some English from the tourist people that I see. Notice how tall this barrier stone is, but also the detail of stonework. And notice that this step has been added. Probably in the past that stone might not have been as high. And even if it was, they were willing to walk over it easily, but not now. Again, whether these are relatively new or not, I don't know. I'm guessing they are. And underneath these deteriorating drawings, old or not, is a relatively new photograph of probably the town or the town leaders. No matter how quaint the town is to draw people, there's still the compulsion to keep modernizing it, building it, turning it into what it's never been. Even this pavilion looks as though it's brand new from the cement on the inside. There is what may be the river, or a portion of it. So orientating this with the river behind me, would appear I must have walked to the left a little ways and then due south to hit the stream here somewhere, that green line. Whether this pond to be is a brand new artifact rather, I don't know. It's not on the map at any rate, unless it's one of those blips right there in the green. I suspect that it's up there that the other hostels that I somewhere read about that it was thought had been built are. But since they didn't do any advertising that I ran across, I never found them. Mr.Gu's was much easier to have locals take me to, which they nicely did. Here's an old boat. Nicely built, actually. Looks like there a stone bridge up to the other side. That wall looks old. And here we are at the crossing the river. Someday they can make it pretty. They can restore it. That's the important thing. Nothing's been destroyed yet. I've come into what looks like a private courtyard, and we'll see what's here. It's maybe all somewhat private. Driving up here, and these are not representative, were some just amazing collections, patches almost, of karst peaks. Some with very dramatic and interesting configurations. Here's the ultimate destruction source. Probably another hostel or home, but someday hopefully this will be restored into something very pretty. Toilet may or may not be public. Looks like it is. Here's another kind of little fruit that's drying in the sun. I have no idea what it is. But here a mega grinding stone. What's curious about it is what's to be gained by having the stone that far out on a pivot. Unless the center part was used by horses or men to walk about, to turn the wheel. Still seems like an extravagant effort when the reverse takes less material. Here's some remnants of this community's past. I have no idea what this would have been used for. Huh. Here a grinding stone. It looks like the bottom part was designed to capture perhaps the grain. Large cooking oven. For some reason there's the wok that used to be on the oven. What the purpose of these stones was. Now here's another novelty, is one of these stacks of what normally would be the rice sheaves that are cut from the field, stacked up in a pyramid. Here the pyramid elevated for some reason, although it does look relatively new. These end wall decorations are different. They're sinewy naga, snake-like curves. And I wonder what that relief is. Perhaps a phoenix bird is buried in there somewhere to the right, maybe? There in the distance past the new buildings, just a taste of some of the spectacular karst formations around here. You'll notice that that bridge-like gate is relatively new, and they've even covered up the water arch below and filled in here for some bizarre reason. It's interesting to me how easily the tourist is apparently duped into believing that this is going to be, or when they see it finally, that this is somehow the way these people have always lived. Of course it's not. It's a Disney fraud.